everyone. Good evening once again. This is Ma'am Rhea, Maestro Rhea, Teacher Rhea, Rhea, however you want to call me, it's just okay. Okay. Good evening to my fellow viewers. Before I start with today's video, let me just thank those people who commented right away in my first video. Alright, anyway, for today, I am going to emphasize on two particular words which I believe is also something that we have to focus on, because these two words are commonly misused, shall I say, interchanged most often than not in our day-to-day conversation or even in the written text. Okay, what are these two words? Okay, I am referring to pronunciation and diction. Okay, pronunciation versus diction. Is there a huge difference? Well, aside from the spelling, yeah, yes there is. Okay, when we talk about pronunciation, we're simply referring, ladies and gentlemen, we're simply referring to how the words are correctly said. But when we talk about diction, we are simply referring to how the words are correctly, properly, and effectively used. Okay? How will I concretize this one? Let me just give you an example. I've been hearing some students and some people saying, wow, she's very, very good. I just like her diction. What are you referring to as diction? Are we referring to how the person used the words correctly, or we're referring to how the person pronounced the words? These two ideas are different. So we simply say it this way. Pronunciation is simply how the words are correctly pronounced or said. Oh, by the way, when you say pronunciation, that's an N-U-N. We don't have a word such as pronunciation. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have that word. But we have pronunciation. We have pronounce as a verb, pronouncement as a noun considered. But we also have the word pronunciation if you're referring to how the words are correctly said. Okay? Example, when you go to the store and you want to ask Aling Nene about 12 ounce of Coke. Okay? It's usually say it this way. Aling Nene, pabili po ng 12 ounce na Coke. Well, in our language, that's already considered to be ayay. The person is referring to exactly the size of the Coke that he or she is going to buy. But then again, we have to correct ourselves. It's not kaartihan, ladies and gentlemen. It's the proper pronunciation that we're considering here. Okay, the proper way on how to say the words. It may sound like ang arte-arte naman, English. But we have to also consider the fact that there is a correct way to pronounce the word. So instead of saying ounce, ladies and gentlemen, that's pronounced as ounce. 20 pesos. Manong sukli ko po ng 20. It's not kaartihan to actually pronounce the word with 20 pesos. Kuya, change ko po sa 20. Paano kaarte naman magsalita nito? Others would think it that way, but again and again, we have an English language where we have to follow, or we have to understand that these words should be pronounced correctly. It's not about kaartihan, ladies and gentlemen. It's the proper way to pronounce the word. So it's the pronunciation. So this is technically what we call as pronunciation, which is totally different when we say diction. Why? Because when you say diction, we're simply referring to how correctly and how effectively you have used a particular word. Okay, say for example, commonly diction could be slang, informal, colloquial. Okay, so diction has actually different types. Okay, I might be discussing the different types in the next videos. Shall you want? Then you just request it anyway. Okay, so going back to the concept of diction is simply how you use the words correctly, properly. And for example, when it comes to multiple meanings, we know multiple meanings. I'll be discussing them if you wish to also, maybe some other time. Multiple meanings. So there are words with the different meanings, but at the same time, we have also what we call as homographs and homophones. Homographs in the first place can be considered under, or can be actually a good example when we talk about diction. It's because of present and present. Okay, these are homographs. They're spelled the same way, but they're pronounced the same way, in a different way, therefore giving us two different meanings. So how to use them in our statement, depending on the meaning that we want to convey, that is actually diction. So when I say, I want to present to you the winners of today's competition. But when you say present, that's present. That's how you use the word and pronounce the word. You're pronouncing the word correctly, but at the same time you're using it correctly. That's diction. It's because that's how it has to be used in the sentence. So when you say present, it's a verb. But when you say present, it's a noun. I had the most beautiful present that I have received this Christmas. Present is simply a gift. Okay, something given to you. Okay, so present. Alright? So this is diction. How you use them, use a particular word in a sentence, that's diction. Learned and learned. Okay? I learned a very important lesson during that incident. Learned as a verb. When you say learned, you're referring to an adjective. So how you use it in the word, in the sentence, is what we call as diction. Okay? It goes hand in hand with pronunciation, but then you don't say, I admire her because she has a very good diction. So what are you referring to? How the person uses the word, or how the person pronounces the word? So please be very careful with that. Pronunciation is how the word is said correctly. Diction is how the word is used correctly and effectively. Alright? So that's the two difference between pronunciation and diction. I hope next time you'd have to be very careful with the use of these two words, pronunciation and diction. At the same time, what is underneath this word. So that will be all. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.